wine that's being poured. And of course, we're here tonight to talk about the Ken Brown wine cruise to Alaska. And that's a very exciting topic for sure. And to get us started, I would like to ask John Clark to go ahead. John, of course, is one of our top wine consultants, and many of you already know John. But we're very, very excited that he's on our team. And we just like to ask John, maybe you want to introduce Ken?
Well, thank you very much, KK. I did want to say I didn't chime in, but of course, we live in the Santa Ynez Valley in the little town of Solvang, where there's a tremendous amount of really good wineries out here and a couple of good Danish bakeries. But so, yeah, I know everybody probably knows Ken. He's one of Santa Barbara County's pioneers in the winemaking here, and very instrumental in bringing Pinot Noir and Chardonnay to the world, and in probably many cases and stuff. So I'd like to introduce him. We're really happy that he's going to be taking us on this cruise.
Well, it's my pleasure. Haven't been to Alaska in quite a while. Looking forward to it.
That's wonderful. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to whisk you away to Alaska. So I'm going to take you on a short version of our Alaska voyage this evening. And of course, we are going to be sailing aboard the Regent Seven Seas Explorer. This is sailing June 10th to 17th of 2026. We're exceptionally delighted with this itinerary. It's 7 nights starting in Anchorage, or truthfully so, the port for Anchorage of Whittier. And so we'll set sail from Whittier, head going south down to Hubbard Glacier. It's one of our first stops. Go down to Sitka, up into Skagway, go to Juneau, to a new port of call called Klawock, and then through the Inside Passage down to Vancouver. What makes all of this, of course, so exciting is the fact that we're on board Regent Seven Seas Explorer. And for those of you who've not yet experienced her, you'll notice that she is all inclusive. And you're going to hear that a lot through this presentation, just because it is so important. The fact that the beverages, the spirits, the wine gratuities, the specialty dining, and unlimited shore excursions are included. It changes the way we vacation. And I would be remiss if I didn't just start with talking about Hubbard Glacier. So Hubbard Glacier is not as widely known. Many people immediately think of Glacier Bay. Of course, Glacier Bay is a much larger bay. You can't always get up close the way you can with Hubbard Glacier. Hubbard Glacier is about 6 miles across at its mouth there, and it's known as the Sleeping Giant because unlike many of the other tidewater glaciers that there are in Alaska, there is a foot to them where you can't necessarily always see the calving. The Hubbard Glacier is one of the most active, still currently, of the glaciers that are calving. So you're going to have a great opportunity when that ship goes up into the bay there and it sits. And as it's sitting there, it will actually do a full 360 turn so that everyone will have a vantage point and everyone is listening, right? Because they make the engines really quiet. You're going to notice that everyone kind of gets these hushed tones. And then all of a sudden you hear the crack and then the whoosh. And it's so exciting. And there's cheers and it gets very exciting. I just think about it and I get thrilled. So Hubbard Glacier is, in fact, one of my favorite places. You heard me mention that the shore excursions are included. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a little bit of the itinerary, but talk also about the excursions that you might be able to experience. Now, this particular one, I just had to use the picture because I love everything to do with Huskies since I have. And of course, this is mushing across the glacier. In this particular case, that is one of the very few excursions that you have to buy. It's highly subsidized, but it is worth every moment. So of the included excursions, you're going to see things like this. This is the Mendenhall Glacier Native Canoe Adventure, and this is the Mendenhall Lake. And so you can actually canoe across the lake seeing the glacier, having that feel of the rush of the air that comes down off the glacier, you're going to want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately for it, because even if it's hot, hot in June, you're going to find that it's going to be like a refrigerator with that cool air coming off the Mendenhall.
Hmm.
There's so many choices of what you can see when you are in Juneau. This is just one of the many options. And of course, when we go into places like Skagway, also even back in Juneau too, you're going to have opportunities for gold panning. There's a salmon bake. There's the lumberjack shows. The salmon bake you go to, and it's literally an all-you-can-eat feast of salmon. And when I was up there last August, I found that they had the barbecues just out in rows, and there was teriyaki salmon, there was barbecued salmon, there was lemon garlic salmon, and it's all fresh, it's all local, and it's just scrumptious. Of course, the Saxon Native Village and Lumberjack Show are extremely popular, and the Saxon Native Village is where you'll find that they actually carve the totem poles. And I love the experience of learning how they choose the tree. So we had the opportunity with some of the First Nation people who this one particular gentleman in their tribe, in his family, he is the one that has been granted the gift of choosing a tree. And so to hear the extent that they go to in choosing the tree that is going to become the totem, that's going to become a representation of their family for generations to come, it's really spectacular. And it takes on a whole new light when you see that up close and in person. And those, again, included excursions. Of course, I want to express that if you want to be crazy adventuresome, you can even go rock climbing and rappelling by something like this waterfall. These, of course, are the granite walls of the White Pass. That's in Skagway. And you have to joyfully admit that that will not be me. I will not be rappelling off that cliff. But I might decide to take the train, the White Horse Pass train, or there's the Gold Dredge there. There's lots of different adventures that you can do from Skagway. So all of them are available to you. And again, with the unlimited shore excursions, there are some of the ports where you can take one in the morning and another one in the afternoon. One of the most popular, and if you are looking for bears, I would highly recommend that you either take a picture of this or that you scribble down the name of the Spassky River Valley Wildlife Bear Quest. This is one of the included excursions that sells out lickety split really, really quick. And that's because we all love to see bears. And this is an opportunity for you to go into a specific area where they generally are and look for bears. I mentioned those few excursions that you can actually experience where there might be a surcharge. The helicopter glacier landing is one of them. We saw the dog sledding before. This one here is where you actually land on the Mendenhall on a helicopter, and then you get to go out with your guide and walk on the glacier. Having personally done this a couple of times now, I can tell you that I've done it with another cruise line, and the cost was over $800. I did it with Regent, and it was three something. And so what you're seeing is the fact that these expeditions that are a little bit more unique, they're available to you because they're subsidized. Since the other excursions are all included, they offer them to you at a lower price. And this was just amazing, amazing. One of the other things that was private, that you can do again for a little bit of a cost, is the private salmon fishing in Ketchikan. And this is another one that is super popular. And I love this, that they will either ship the fish home to you. And there were some of our fellow guests who enjoyed it on board. They actually had the fish brought with them on board and they prepared it for them. So how fun is that? Our ship, the Seven Seas Explorer, is one of the most luxurious ships in Alaska. Here against that glacier, she looks a little bit big, but I will tell you that there are, in fact, only 746 guests. So she's a small ship. So she's a small ship in the sense that she doesn't carry very many passengers, but space, you saw how big she is physically. The space that you get per passenger is double what you would get for any other contemporary cruise line. So 746 guests, but notice that there's 548 crew members. There are a lot of people to take care of you and make sure that you have a brilliant vacation. I love being spoiled on the ship. I'm going to take you through a series of photos of the different types of suites on board. They're starting with the largest, the Regent suite. You're going to find it's multiple rooms. The Grand suite, where you can have your own grand piano. So if you have a pianist in the family, that might be an opportunity. The Seven Seas Explorer Suite is quite popular because you're going to notice that it has an additional sitting area room. This is the sitting room to the bedroom that we just saw. The number one most popular on this ship is the Penthouse Suite. And the reason the Penthouse Suite is so popular is because when you look at this picture, you're going to notice that partition between the sleeping room and the sitting room. And you'll notice that on both sides, there's actually doors. So you can close off so the bedroom in essence, away from the sitting room. And what I especially like about this is directly behind us, there's access to the full length balcony. So the veranda goes all the way from the sitting room across to the bedroom, and it has two separate entrances and exits. So in our case, for example, my husband sleeps in, I'm an early riser. I get up in the morning, I close those doors, and I'm able to access the veranda, but I'm also able to have the butler bring in hot tea in the morning so that I can sit out there and have my hot tea on the balcony without interrupting. So this by far is the most popular. I want to introduce you to this lovely, lovely suite um, because this is the smallest suite that you can find on this ship. Not too shabby. You'll notice that there is a curtain that goes between the sitting area and the bedroom. From the photographer's standpoint, they're standing where the access to the veranda is. So once again, directly behind, there's a full veranda that goes the length of the suite. If you were to walk over, so you could kind of see there's a hallway that goes down there. The walk-in closet, I actually call it a walk-in changing room because it's so big, is the full length of what you see that wall that goes all the way behind the bed. It's gigantic. Beautiful big bathrooms with double sinks, really well appointed with beautiful, fantastic marble and glass showers. Again, lots of space is what's important to notice here. They're very, very comfortable. And of course, we all want to talk about food. For those of us who enjoy wine, we love great food to go with it. And so all of the dining, and there are several dining venues on Regent Seven Seas Explorer, and they're all included. So we talk about Chartreuse, which is a French restaurant, the Coffee Connection, where they make your teas and lattes all included. Compass Rose is by far one of my favorites, and she is what they would call their main dining room. I'll show you a picture in a second, but you'll see all of these different variations of things that are available to you, and they're all included. This is Compass Rose. Compass Rose is, again, considered the main dining room, one of my favorite restaurants on the ship. Look at all that Murano glass. It is simply brilliant. It was all custom made specifically for the ship. And just to remember that you have to pack a swimsuit because the hot tubs and the pool are fun to experience in Alaska. You know, in June, there's two things you have to remember. Number one, it doesn't get dark. So you're going to find that and by midnight, the sun has just gone down to the horizon and it's going to come popping right back up. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, either close your shades or enjoy the sunshine because it's lovely and bright. But the pools and the spa are all open and it's a wonderful place to enjoy and relax. You'll also notice that there are great places to stand around the decks. One of my favorite things is while standing there by the glacier and all of a sudden they come by offering you the hot cocoa. And of course, you could have the choice to have Bailey's in your cocoa too, if you prefer. Not bad. One of the other favorites that I have on the ship are the lecturers. So they hire wonderful enrichment lecturers. They're all professors. They're all They all have doctorates in their field. One of my favorites is listed here, Dr. David Plod. Dr. Dave, as he's well known. I've sailed with him multiple times, and what he doesn't know about birds and marine life, it doesn't exist. And great conversations, fun to talk to. You learn so much, and it's so much fun. And so they have these enrichment lectures by day, and then they have wonderful entertainment as well by night. So that same room can have the big theater shows. There might be a comedian, there might be, they have from their sister company, they actually have shorter shows, true production shows that are really, really great. So lots of things to do during the evening as well. There is a fantastic serene spa on board. And so you're going to find there's treatments, there's wonderful spa rooms, lots of things for you to explore and experience. So we talked about the fact that this ship is so all-inclusive. John, why don't you maybe take us through a few things that really make the all-inclusiveness special on the sailing?
I'd love to. Thank you. And I wanted to bring up two things that I thought of as you were going through there. The beds in the suites are so comfortable. I don't know how they got to be very expensive, but they are very comfortable. And the other thing is in the dining rooms, each of the dining rooms, when you go in, the tables are set with Versace china that they immediately take away in case you were going to bring a purse along. But I mean, the dining rooms are exquisite. So for all inclusive, I have to tell you, we took our family. We were on a Alaska cruise a couple of years ago, and honest to goodness, it cost us as much to get off the ship as it did to pay for the ship to get on it. So there's a huge difference with Regent Seven Seas because it literally it's all inclusive. You can pay the bill and you're done when you get them. Like KK said, the excursions are all included. Specialty dining and the restaurants are amazing on this ship. All your spirits, all your wines, coffee, specialty drinks. And this is something that I didn't realize at first, but you can actually set up your mini bar in your suite with your room attendant or butler and say, I would like a bottle of red wine every day. I like gin. I want a bottle of gin, sparkling sodas, anything like that. And they replenish it every single day. So it's pretty cool. If you don't want to go to the dining room and you just want to sit there, you can do 24-hour in-room dining, unlimited Wi-Fi. KK, is it Starlink now?
It does have Starlink, yes.
I was thinking it's got Starlink now. Another great thing is you can pack a little bit lighter because you have valet laundry service. If you leave it, give it to them in the morning, there's a very good chance it'll be back there late in the day before you go to bed. Also, the bars, lounges, all open. There's entertainment, as KK had said, throughout the ship. Concierge level and above, you get to fly in a day before, and they'll put you up in a hotel in Anchorage, and then on the 10th, they'll transfer you to Whittier, which is a little over an hour away from Anchorage, hour and 20 minutes. Also, concierge and above, you have little priority reservations for your excursions and for your specialty dining. And there's savings, additional savings on any of the Regent Choice excursions that do have a cost to them. So it's pretty nice. And then, of course, the penthouse and above, there's that butler. So all of that's all included. It really is. It's truly an amazing cruise line and a really good value. And with that, I was thinking I'd like to introduce the next guy here, Mr. Brown, to talk a little bit about what kind of activities and events he's got planned for this cruise.
Well, you probably guess it has something to do with wine, for a starter. So, John and I have been talking about this, and I would say we're still in the tentative phase. It'll probably be a couple months before we finalize it. But what the plan is to do about 5 different tastings of all different magnitudes. Um, there is a welcome reception wine tasting when everybody first gets on the ship. And we'll probably pour a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir or something like that at that. Um, then the next tasting is a tasting that I've never done before with the group because it includes our library wines. And our library wines, we will hold aside 7 cases only of our what we think will become our best wines with age. And we're going to do a tasting with 4 of those library wines. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I hope you are too, because there are going to be some great wines there. And then also we're going to do um, a wine pair dinner in one of the 3 specialty restaurants. And again, John and I have been working this out, and I think we're getting pretty close. And oh my gosh, it looks so great. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I tell you, this. Um, okay, and then we're down to number 4. Now we're going to be doing a tasting with all guests um, with 4 of our wines. Okay, and then at the last tasting we're going to do is all guests with dinner serving 2 of our wines. I believe that's more or less how this is going to work out. What the order is, I don't know. Um, and don't hold me to the exact specifics, but I can tell you, I don't think you'll be disappointed when we do the library wine tasting. I'm getting excited about it. All right.
Sounds so exciting. And you know, I love the fact that you're going to do this wine pairing. I've seen the menus go back and forth. I get hungry every time I see the menus
Yeah.
go back and forth. And so there's just for you, there's an exclusive so the winemaker dinner, the wine pair dinner in the specialty restaurant, and the library wine seminar, those are all and the welcome reception. Those are all very exclusive to your group. Um, and then there are 2 opportunities where Ken is being generous enough to share the wine brand with the fellow passengers, but it won't be an exclusive thing like the ones that you're getting. It'll just be the wine served with dinner one night and a tasting. Because of course we want to share the great news, right, of the great wines from Ken Brown Wines. But those exclusive events are going to be quite something. And I don't know, I'm thinking I might have to join you guys and go back to Alaska. This is sounding better and better all the time.
Hey, Kate, weren't you working on a little something that maybe there might be one more special event that a few choice people could go to?
There is, as a matter of fact, okay, we'll go ahead and spill the beans here. Um, we are going to have a private culinary class where it's going to be called Cooking the Cuisine of the Pacific Northwest. And it will be limited to a certain number of guests, but it is going to be in the culinary kitchen, which is exclusive to the ship. And it will also be paired with wines, with the Ken Brown wines. And I think we're going to be able to do that for the reduced cost that normally they will charge. I think with the wine pairing, they charge like $120. I think it's going to be probably 89 or 79. So that part I
Great.
don't have quite worked out yet, but we're very excited that yes, on the day at sea, we're going to have a private culinary class only available to the Ken Brown Wine Cruise guests. Yes, very exciting.
It'll be
It
very
is.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
and the kitchen is quite a nice kitchen.
Oh,
I
I
heard
had so
they,
much fun.
I
Yeah,
heard the secret that they have fun when they do it too. Is that true
I
yes.
too?
have to tell you, we laughed so hard and I learned and I've grown up with a chef and my grandmother was a royal chef. And so I learned so much from this and it was such a fun, engaging opportunity and to learn a little bit about especially seafood. You know, it's one of those tricky things to cook. And so the chefs, they have a great deal of fun with you, but you get to taste it all, you get to eat it all. You're sipping while you're doing it. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually going back to Alaska this summer and I'm doing it again. So
Oh,
yes,
that's great.
highly
Yeah, it'll
recommend
be
it.
fun.
Great.
So John,
You know,
there's
it
some
truly is
special
a beautiful destination.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But I was going to say there's some special promotions going on that I think that maybe you can explain because I think it's important. They're coming up
I
pretty
would,
quick.
yes, there is. You know, right now we have a promotion with Regent that where you receive a 2-category upgrade from the cabin. So the rates that we have are based on that. There's also a significant discount on the deposit right now with them. And there's another savings as well that's involved in that price. And we're offering that you'll also get a $400 onboard credit to spend on whatever you want to do. Maybe it's a spa, maybe it's an excursion you want to do, and that's per cabin. And so the discounts that are currently there will end the last day of this month. So the time to make a decision to book is probably coming up pretty quick now. And I'm very happy to help you select the suite and answer any questions you might have. But just give me a call. The phone number's on there, 805-452-3061, or you can send me an email and I'll get right back to you and stuff. And I just want to personally thank you for taking your time. You know, maybe dinner time, maybe it's past dinner, because I know we have some people on here that are not from California, possibly. Yeah, enjoy having some time with you, and I know you'll have a good time if you go on this cruise.
Oh, well, and I would encourage anyone who's interested, take a picture of the screen. And that way you'll have the telephone number and email address handy.
Yeah.
And most importantly, of course, we just want to thank Ken for joining us today. And I think Deb's on there too. I seem to recall seeing Deb's name come up on the screen. And what I'll do is I'm going to open it up now. And so if you have any questions, I encourage you to please turn on your cameras and you are welcome to ask any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Unless they're wine related, in which case it all goes to Ken. Oh, I see there's one question here that asks, will I need a passport for this trip? Yes, you will. Since you'll be flying home from Vancouver, you will be needing a valid passport for this cruise. So that's a great question. Let's see. Let me think if there's others.
Hey,
Oh,
Ken,
yes. Sorry, go ahead, Larry.
I just say this is Larry, and we all know that Kent's wines are great, so that goes without saying. But I would the Seven Seas Explorer is a great ship. That private culinary class is fantastic, and I would really encourage people to sign up for this cruise to get great wines. It's a great cruise, and it's a great ship, and they've got such great service. Yeah, I mean you'll have 2 people as your cabin attendants, and they take care of you. Believe me, it's a wonderful experience. So I would highly suggest that you sign up for the trip.
Wonderful. Well, there's an endorsement. Thank you for that, Larry. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Sounds like you've experienced. That's great. Um,
Well enough.
and
I'm here.
Robert, go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, we've never gone on,
Hi, guys.
hang on a sec. We've never gone on a cruise before, and June, we're somewhat elderly, and June 2026 is a long way off. Stuff happens. What's the cancellation policy?
That's a great question. So, there is right from the get-go, there is a portion of the deposit. It's $150 per person. That's non-refundable. Um, but then it scales up as we get closer and closer to the cruise. We do highly recommend that you take out travel insurance. That's really important. And that way you could be protected all the way up until sailing should you have to cancel for one of the covered reasons. If you're not healthy enough to go or something else happens in the family, you would have an opportunity to be covered and protected against that. So that's something that John will gladly talk to you about.
Okay, thanks.
Great question. Other questions? Oh, I see one here. So, I'm going to sum it up to say, will there be a lot of motion on the sailing? So that's a great question. This particular route that we're going on this cruise, there is one tiny passage. There's one part that's open water. I'm delighted to say I've done this cruise a lot. It's one of my favorites. And so there's one piece that's open water for about 3 hours. The rest of it is very much into protected areas, especially coming all the way down through the inside passage. So that means it'll be very little. I don't know if anyone else is concerned about motion. There is something new. The new relief bands, the one that have the little electronic pulse, are brilliant. My future daughter-in-law has just gotten one, and it went from I can't cruise with you to I'm going every time. Another great question. Other questions that you might have? How formal is it? Oh, that's a fantastic question, and I
Great
can't believe I didn't
question.
mention that earlier. So I'm delighted to say that Region Seven Seas is what's called Country Club Casual, and that means no ties are ever required. And you're going to find that it is relatively casual, but I do still find that oftentimes gentlemen will bring a jacket for dinner, but it's certainly not required. So overall, it's country club casual, no formal wear. There will not be any formal nights on this cruise. And Alaska tends to be a little bit more casual in general. So, you're going to want good walking shoes. You're going to want, as we get closer, we're going to talk more about the fact that everybody needs to bring gloves and a hat because when you're out there standing there watching the glacier, you want to put your hands up on the railing and they'll get cold if you don't have gloves on. But we can gladly have another Zoom for everyone that's booked where we talk about preparation and things to pack. But great question about the formal wear. Any other questions?
Yeah, KK, are all the suites, are they all balcony? Everyone's on outside?
Let's see, we're on Explorer, so there are all balconies. And so yes, the bottom line is yes. And they're not just any balconies, they're significant in their size. They're comfortable enough that you can actually sit out there. There's on the all the way from the smallest suite, there are 2 chairs and a table out on your veranda. And then as you grow in size of suite, you're going to find there's lounge chairs and everything else. So yes, they're all balconies. Everyone has their favorite. You heard me talk about how I'm an early riser. I have to say that when you open that balcony door, and even if it's crispy out, you put on that lovely plushy robe that they include for you in the bathroom, and they are lovely. They have the L'Occitane products on board, and you sit out there with a cup of tea or coffee, and you can see the whales early in the morning. You can hear the sea life. You can start counting the eagles that are up they look like the tops of a Christmas tree. It's a very special time. And then again, I say the same thing about the evening. There's nothing quite like being able to go out there with a glass of wine, sit out on your balcony, and just enjoy that peacefulness that comes with being on the ocean.
That sounds really good to me.
I'm ready.
Don't we have an earlier sailing in a couple weeks?
Yeah, still a little too early in the season, but soon. Yes. Other questions? Well, we won't keep you too long. So I just want to encourage you that again, if you have additional questions, John is the expert and he is very capable of answering any questions that you have. As a matter of fact, we're sailing together on this ship in Alaska in September of this year. So he'll have even more details to bring back. But I can't encourage you enough. Take advantage of these special offers. And we certainly look forward to seeing you on board the Ken Brown Wine Cruise aboard Regent Seven Seas Cruises in Alaska in 2026. So with that, we'll say thank you, everyone. Great to see you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ken.
Thank you, guys. Great
See you,
job.
Ken.
You bet.